right, and we're back. And in this episode, or last episode, we learned how to make the enemy have the death animation and all the health and all the damage. In this episode, we want to learn how to add in a torch because we need to get more items. But before we do that, let's go ahead and fix up our HUD so that we know how many stone knives that we have. So go back to third person HUD, and you can go to your item HUD. And here, what we're just going to do is put another text. So you can right click and duplicate the rocks text and move it down. And instead of rocks, we're going to make it say stone knives. And then the text block beside it, what we could do is just drop another one down there. So put this text block here. And remember, we have to bind it. So we're going to bind it to the third person stone knives. So compile and save. And over here on the right hand side where it says text, we're going to create a binding. We're going to cast it a third person character. We're going to get player character. And then we're going to get stone knives. And you can plug that number right on in, because we just want the number to show up. And for me, again, I'm going to put the minimum integral digits to 2. So it shows 0, 1 stone knives, 0, 2, all the way up to 10. Now that should be good. When we go ahead and press play, now you can see that we have stone knives there. Pick up the rocks here. Our weight is displaying correctly. The number of rocks that we have is correct. Oh, our weight is really overweight. Now let's craft a stone knife. And it shows that we have 1 stone knife and our weight is back there. We'll craft another one, close that menu, and we have 2 stone knives. So if we have 1 on our hip and we drop 1, we have 1 stone knife. Yeah, so everything is working correctly. And we can go pick it back up and we have 2 stone knives. Bet. Okay, so that will come in handy when we need to go sell multiple items. So we can craft multiple items and then we can sell them. So now what we need to do is get a torch. So what I did is I went to Sketchfab to get a torch model like this one right here. This is pretty cool. Download it. And this is the torch model that I got. When you get anything from Sketchfab, you're gonna have to open up the folder. So mine would be in the downloads. I can close that. Torch simple. So I'm gonna extract all. Then go to the source. Then I have to extract all. Any folders that are zipped, make sure you extract them. This is how you use a model from Sketchfab. So now I'm ready to bring that in. So what I'll do is in my assets here, you see the stone knife there. Let's just make a new folder for torch. Okay, so here we're going to drop the download that we just had right in and import all. All right, so now we've got a torch and it's so eensy weensy. That's okay. The texture came in blank, so what we'll do is in that same folder, it has textures. Take them all and we'll drop them in. And it'll appear like that. So now how do you take these textures and put them onto a material? Let's double click on this material and you're going to see a screen like this. In this instance, since we have all the textures for this material, we don't need this one. This stuff, anything on this side is like when you create the material. So let's create this material. With the base color first, we'll take it and drag it in. Hook the RGB straight up to base color. Then, whoops, dang. Then you want to take the height map. Not everything you download will have a height map, but if you do have a height map, I like to plug it into world position offset. I think that's what I plug mine into. What else do we have? Metallic. We'll drop that in and plug it into metallic. What else do we have? We have, normal. This is a good one. Normal, plug it into normal. And lastly, we have the roughness. Drag the roughness out and plug it into the roughness. Now you should have a material like that. Once you save, it'll be applied to our torch. So speaking of our torch, let's go ahead and save everything first. Let's save everything. But let's go ahead and make it into a blueprint because that's the only way that we're going to be able to use it. So go back one folder into your pickups folder and master pickup item, right click, create a child blueprint, and we're going to call this torch underscore BP. Now, for the torch, okay, for the mesh, let's go ahead and replace that mesh with our torch mesh. So you can go back into your folder that you made for your torch, grab that mesh and replace it. It's so small. That's okay. Remember that our widget is at 1, our mesh is at 1 right now too. But let's blow up our mesh until we can actually see it. So this is gonna blow up everything. So we're gonna have to take everything back down. And it's so small that we might have to blow it up to like 100 or something. Even more than that, 1,000 maybe. Yeah. Okay, and for the sphere, really the scale could be on 0.1. I just needed to get it in the frame first. So scale 0.01, 0.01, because we blew it up like 1,000 times. And you can put it right there. Okay, that's way better. All right, we're getting somewhere, y'all. Now this radius can be bigger so that the player can interact with it. And now compile and save. Click on the torch itself and we can name it torch in the top right. Compile and save. Now for the torch, we can add fire to it, or we can have fire on and off. So let's add fire to it. I think they have fire in the content that comes with it. So what we're going to do is on the mesh, add I think it's cascade particle system. And then on the right-hand side where it says template, search for fire. It should be right there. Cool. Whoa, so big. Let's put the fire down to 0.01. Cool. And raise the fire up to the top of the torch. Compile and save. Now, for this particle system over here, let's set it to invisible right now. Now, in the event graph, now we can start to set up this torch. So there's a couple things that we need to do. We need to say, let's set up something for the torch flame to be on. So let's do a custom event. And we're going to call it torch flame on. And here we'll just grab this particle system off that we made and we'll set visibility to true. Now we can make a custom event, torch flame off. And do the same thing, just copy and paste, and this time just set it to false. All right, so that's going to turn our torch on and off. Very easy. Torch flame on, torch flame off. In our rock, we did an event interact. So now we need to do an event interact to make sure that the player can pick up the torch. Before we do that, let's go to the third person character though. Blueprint, third person character. Variables. Torch. Torches. So we can count the number of torches. Maybe he can craft a torch or something like that. And maybe he can find it as well. But we'll count the number of torches. And we'll also say that he has the torch. And make that one a Boolean this time. So the first one was an integer. This one is a Boolean. And maybe we can also do one called torch equipped. Torch equipped. I did a question mark just to let you know if it is or not. All right, cool. Now that we've got all of that in our third person character, we can make the torch damage and everything. But first, let's make so we can pick up the torch. So back in our torch, we just right click in the event graph and we type in interact. And remember, we want event interact. And now that we've got this, we can say cast the third person character. Object is going to be get player character. Now, from here, what we need to do is make the torch disappear, add a torch to them. So let's say torches, drag off torches, get torches. We're going to +1. Now, before we also continue, we have to add weight to the torches. So let's go ahead and put the torches in our, I believe in our pickups, we have a data table. It'll be this, item data table. So now let's go ahead and add our torch here. Press add. And remember how to find the name for the new row. We're going to hover over the torch itself. And it says torch underscore BP underscore C. You should get you should get it by now. Like, it's going to be the same thing every single time. So you should understand what it's going to be. Anyways, the name is going to be torch. Weight is going to be like 6 pounds. Description, a torch to light. I think I was doing capital letters. Torch to light up the night, the dark. Okay. Actor, we're going to bring that torch actor, torch BP. And the worth, torch, I mean, because you can craft it, let's make it worth like, it can't be that much because, you know, like maybe $7. All right, cool. Let's go back to our, we can actually close this here after you save it. Go back to your torch, and we're going to say, after you've added one to torches, we need to set torches. So drag off a third person character and say set torches. Boom, boom. But before this, we should insert our current weight. Here, there's a current weight function right here. Okay, so let's go to our current weight function. In our third person character, we have something called a current weight function. So go to your functions and you'll see it right here on the left. Double click into that. We need to add into this to go ahead and make it right. So on the left hand side, let's add another input. And this input is going to be another integer. And it's going to be how many torches that we have. Torches. Okay. And for here, we'll just drag this off. Get data table row, copy and paste. And this one, I'm going to, instead of stone knife, I'm going to say torches. For the out row, we're going to break it, break, and then we'll get the weight. And we'll say however many torches multiplied by the weight of the torches. And instead of doing this, so take the last plus off, we'll say plus again from the end. So plus this one, that would equal the total weight now. So every time we have an item, we're going to have to add it into our current weight function. Now let's go back into our torch, and now let's do our current weight function. As soon as we add one torch, let's drag off the third person character and set has torch to true. Because they're going to have the torch. We're going to get the current weight function, and you can drag that off the third person character again. Current weight. Oh, there we go. Plug that right in after you have the torch. And for the rocks, you get rocks and plug it in. Rocks. For stone knives, do the same. Stone knives. And for torches this time, we're going to put this number into torches. Perfect. Compile and save. We'll have to update our rocks with the current weight and all that stuff in a moment, but it should be fine. We'll set the current weight next, then do a weight check. We just need to set the current weight right now. So set the current weight to this total weight. Plug that in. And then we'll do a weight check, which we've already got, and plug that in. So destroy the actor. Okay, we got through it. Bet. Now we need to put it in the character's hand. So viewport, stone knife. So let's go and let's add where the stone knife is at. Right click, and we're going to duplicate. And this one we're going to call torch. So I think that he should have like a torch, like a light source, which it'll be a torch, or some kind of like alien lantern or some shit. He should have a main weapon and maybe something else in the back, like something else he can carry. So let's make all, we don't have to do all of that, but we've got the torch now. Come over here on the right hand side and we're going to set the visibility to true so we can see it. And remember, the torch came in mad small, so we're gonna have to make it way big. So over here in the scale, I think we did it to 1,000. Okay, it's kind of big. Let's do 100. Okay, that's kind of more reasonable. Let's go ahead and, before we move it around, let's parent it to his right hand. Right hand. Okay, that's very big. Let's try 50 for the scale. That's kind of big too. Let's try 35. Okay, that makes more sense. Now all I gotta do is move it into his hand, but I'm gonna pause his animations by clicking on his mesh and pause animations on the right. Then click on this and just move it straight into his hand. Now, compile and save. He has to have fire on his torch too. So that's a thing that we need to do. Okay. Here, I'll drop the fire on the cascade on the mesh. Cascade. Let's see if we can just put it on the mesh first. Fire. And then we'll scale it down from here. This fire does not like to be scaled down. It turns into like this nothingness after a while. If you attach it to his right hand from here, it'll be attached to the torch. So right hand, and then move it to where you need it to be. Boom. And I'm gonna scale it down even smaller than that. Once you have it attached to the end of the torch, remember you have to put the particle system under the mesh, not under the torch in this case, because I'm working with scaling. And you might have these scaling issues too. And if you need a better fire, you can download some from the marketplace. They've got way better fires. When I do a polish of this, I'll get that going. But anyways, let's unfreeze our animation. For the particle system, let's call it fire on the right hand side. Fire. Compile and save. Now we need to make it invisible. So the torch and the fire, we make it invisible. So on the right hand side, find visibility, click it off. Fire, visibility, click it off. Okay, compile, save. So back in the event graph, in the next video, we're going to add all the